Hello everyone, welcome back to Roseburg Speaker and Storytellers. We are a Toastmaster club, and Toastmaster was established like 96 years ago. We're still here standing strong. And this club, one of them, in between 16,800 clubs all over the world. Our club meets every Monday at 7 a.m. Oregon time. Please be informed that this meeting will be recorded and may be published in some social media. And the next thing is we are open from February. There is an opening for all Toastmaster Club all over the place. It's time to be a member. Anyone would like to be a member? Join us. Contact Yasmin, our VPM or Vice President of Membership. Without no further ado, please mute your microphone unless you are going to speak. Mr. President.
Thank you, Miss IU, SAA Deluxe. Welcome, members and guests, to another important and fun meeting of Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers, or like we call ourselves, RSS. I'm so happy to see everybody here. We have a number of guests. You are welcome, and please enjoy yourself and come back. And like IU said, if you want to join us, you are absolutely welcome. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this meeting rolling. I'm going to introduce the Toastmaster of the day. This is a guy who's been in Toastmasters for 5 years, belongs to multiple clubs, is a friendly guy, but also a little scattered, so just bear with him. Let me introduce Tiger. Thank you, sir. I am excited for this meeting. We have a long speech by one of our representatives for the area contest. We're very excited for that. Our table topics master is a pro, and she's been working on some very clever and engaging prompts for table topics. Our theme of the day is Chinese New Year. And anybody that knows this club can probably figure out where the motivation came to have a Chinese New Year as a theme. There's a person who's laughing right now. And if you are on your gallery view, you probably figure out who I am talking about. So IU, help me out here with screen shares. It is, as most of you probably know already, the year of the bull. So let's take a look at the year of the bull. What are the characteristics of, or the ox, excuse me, the ox? Supremely self-assured, calm, methodical, patient, hardworking, ambitious, conventional, steady, modest, logical, resolute, and my favorite word, tenacious. I think this also applies to the year itself, not just people born in the year. Think about 2021, the entire world, I think, has to be tenacious at this point. So here, if you can expand that, if you take your slider and expand that, you find your year that you were born, and you can figure out which of these animals that you are. And if you want to go further, you can go into Google and figure out what your characteristics are. I have to tell you, I kind of was making fun of this, but when I looked at I am a monkey, and when I started looking at characteristics of the monkey, I was like, wow, that's just scary. One note, last year was the year of the rat. Stop and think about that. I mean, there's a lot of good characteristics about a rat, but one thing we know about rats, they're really good at spreading disease. So I just kind of found that to be ironic. Let's move on. Our speaker today, I am so excited for this. This is going to be a long speech, a level 5 speech by a very good speaker. Like I said before, she is one of our representatives at the area contest. This is level 5, preparing to speak professionally. And Yasmin, yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I need to introduce our role players. Thank you. First role player, you got to hold on there, Yasmin. Our first role player is our special guest who speaks the Queen's English. Angela, will you please give us a rundown on what you're going to do today?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for all your patience, also for coming here today. The grammarian, I was just checking my messages. The grammarian, what we do is we actually look for useful use of the English language, colorful use. We also check you a little bit for grammar. However, I do know that with those who are not British speaking in your natural language, we shan't penalize you too much. With that, I'll pass it back to Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, we don't like to be penalized. However, there are time and place. Our counter today is Kanang. It's so nice to have you back, Kanang. Would you like to give us a brief explanation of what you're going to do for us today?
Hello, dear fellow Toastmaster and most welcome guest. I'm Conan. Today I'm taking a role as an accountant, and I will count your words that you speak, like as, etc. Yes, back to you, Mr. Tiger.
Thank you, Kanang. And our timer for today is another special guest / member.
I need to get that credit card.
Special guest who's become a member. Let's put it that way. Mary, how are you going to show your times today?
Okay, I'm going to be using my phone as my timer, and then as a visual cue at the appropriate beginning of the range for the speaking, it's 5 minutes. And at 6 minutes, I'll give the little warning of yellow. And then at the 7-minute mark, red. In that same range, we do table topics 1 to 2 minutes. So at 1 minute, the green, 1.5 minutes, the yellow, and at 2 minutes, the red. And lastly, the evaluator has 2 to 3 minutes. So at 2 minutes, green, 2.5 yellow, and the red for 3. And you have a 30-second leeway either way. So you want to try to keep within the range, but in a contest situation, you'd have 30 seconds that you wouldn't be disqualified. That's what I'll be doing, timing for our meeting today. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much. In this day of high tech, I love simplicity. I love old school red, yellow. Now, Yasmin's speech is 18 to 22 minutes. So Yasmin, when would you like to get your green and yellow, red?
I would say green at 18, yellow at 19, and red at 20, please.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, without further ado, let's get to Yasmin's speech. She's been waiting patiently. This is the level 5 speech, preparing to speak professionally, dynamic leadership, and the title is Biological Response to Climate Change in the Himalayas. It's all yours, Yasmin. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and the Toastmaster of the day. Just a simple clarification, the title of the speech stands as The Elephant in the Room. And I would be sharing my screen, but at the same time as I begin, I would encourage you all to please pin me so that you can have me pinned as well as can share the screen. And I'll encourage you all to be as interactive as possible. So let me try to share my screen before I begin. We got to be sorted with the technologies, yes? I hope you all see my screen well. I'm just gonna make it full screen. Just a moment, please. Here we go. Okay, I'm not able to see you all, just this is how it is with the screen, but please unmute yourself when you have to interact in between, and please pin me. So welcome you all to the elephant in the room. I want to take you have a real thought and look at this very picture. The human evolution. Don't you all agree with me that as we have evolved, we have stand more vertically, but perhaps we have lost our horizontals? What is it that this picture brings to you? May I ask anyone?
Irony.
Irony? Yes, the nature. When we were dependent on nature, we were so close to it. But then it is our selfish nature. Once our dependence on the nature sort of started shrinking, so was our love for the nature. But is it just enough? Is this selfishness just going to leave us there? We all need to realize about the elephant in the room. The global temperatures, the carbon dioxide, it's all there. It's amongst us. It's just that we have started ignoring it, or perhaps we realize it, but we like not to talk about it. Or perhaps it's that we have isolated efforts. But let's at least agree to a common point that there is one elephant in the room. Do you all agree with me, at least there? Okay, I don't hear you, but I have something to make you think about it a little bit more. This is how our world temperature sort of looked like in the past decade, 1870 to 2005. But you know how it has risen in the last 50 years? It has simply increased by 0.8 degrees Celsius. In the last 50 years, we have increased the global temperature of the Earth by 0.8 degrees Celsius. Have we stopped there? Where are we going? All the available models, the climatic predictions, suggest that by 2055, say in the next 30 years to come, our global surface temperatures are going to increase by 3 to 2 degrees. You might be wondering, what this 2 degree or 3 degree is such a concern? May I know from you as to when you think about a degree, a rise in a degree of temperature, what comes to your imagination? Would anyone like to share what they think with this 1 degree rise?
It can spell the difference between boiling water or not boiling water.
True. Ram, what would you think about it?
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, I mean, it can, on a global scale, that's a big change, actually. You know, you think on a, you know, in your room, 1 degree is not a difference, but on a global scale, that's actually quite a big difference. I think that's something to think about.
Indeed, indeed. Angela, you love biodiversity, don't you? What does wildlife and how do your wildlife will interact with 1 degrees?
I think it makes a big difference because if it's suddenly too hot, for example, the birds will struggle to fly. I remember a few years ago when it got too hot in one part of Zimbabwe, the birds were literally, it was just a very small fraction, they literally started falling dead to the ground. It's probably about 3-4 years ago that happened. Like right now outside it's -1, and I've just got in from town, and let me tell you, -1 is jolly cold, whereas in Celsius, whereas if it's 0, I do notice the difference. I would think that globally, if you were to raise the temperature or drop the temperature of any sort of water or landmass, it would be a considerable problem for anything living in the water.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing your experiences. And I can't agree with you more. The thing is that we all realize it and we are all experiencing it. It might sound 1 degree Celsius, but it does make an impact. Look at this picture, the variety of impact it can have, from the biodiversity to the landscapes to the glaciers. It's just that we sit distant from them and perhaps we don't realize it. We try or tend to ignore that perhaps it's far, but I think it's time for us to rethink. And I have some more evidences to bring as to why we should rethink about it. You all quite touched upon these selected impacts of global warming. Of course, there are going to be temperature extremes, there are going to be droughts, there are going to be issues of water availability, precipitation. There are impacts on biodiversity ecosystems, which we feel, which we do not feel. There are impacts on our ocean, and perhaps we are centered, human-centered. There are going to be impacts on us, the vector-borne diseases, the food security. It's all at a threat. Let's look at this elephant in the room again. I like this news piece, which basically says climate change is not the elephant in the room. It's the elephant we are all inside of. We might choose to see it differently, but when it's that we have to live on this earth, we are inside it, it's really difficult to just look at it in isolated ways. But even if we look in it apart, I'm convinced that you will agree by the end that we are really looking at something very difficult. Let's just pick up the tail of this elephant. I would call this tail biodiversity. Biodiversity is very important. It is very important to sustain our human livelihood. Think about it, why? Food, cultural economic value, our health, they're all dependent on biodiversity. Everything around you, think about it for a second, you'll realize it. I give you one practical example or something which is quite closer to my heart. The impacts of biodiversity on ecosystem. With 1.5 degrees Celsius warming, many species could face extinction. 6% of insects, 8% plants, 4% of vertebrates could see shrink in the geographic range. As I share with you this example of my own study, I bring you to Himalayas. Look at this Himalayan landscape. I will take you to a very specific part of the Himalayan ranges, which are Eastern Himalaya. And on this particular, there is a state called Sikkim, which is very interesting in terms of its geographical location. This place, this tiny state, happens to be at the congruence of China, Nepal, Bhutan. It's the political boundaries, but nature doesn't understand political geographical boundaries. It's the same landscape. So on this landscape, the state of Sikkim allowed me in a way to reach and gain elevation. And I studied on this particular state as part of my PhD of how these species are responding. I had to look at taxonomic records, I had to look at temperature records, and I had to look at historical evidences, how things were in 19th century and how they were when I conducted my study in 2010. We had to do a couple of investigations which varied from taxonomy, ecological modeling, studying the communities, and other details at length. I had to look at floral diversity. I referred to the past available accounts in herbaria, looked at all the available literature, went there, did the field surveys. And I did the species inventory for more than 3,000 meters, selectively picked up alpine zone. Why? It's those alpine zones where plants are most sensitive to temperature difference, even to like 0.5 degrees. So 1 degree is a lot. And then we did some couple of selective phytosociological studies. This is all to make you just visualize as to how the study was done. I was laying the plots, studying the economy, the taxa, and sort of going to the topmost passes. There were 4 passes in that particular region, which had elevation of 5,000 and more. And there are very distinct, unique flora there. It's very restricted distribution. The species on these 5 passes that I mentioned are very unique to that. For example, the Zongri Pass, 53% of species did not even exist on the other pass in the same very area, in the very same geographical distribution. If I look at the affinities of species that I saw there, there were Eastern Himalayan, Siberian, Holoarctic, and even European migrants. The species at that particular time have moved there. And then more than 3/4 of the species were endemic to that particular Himalayan range, that is Eastern Himalaya. These are a couple of beautiful plants that you saw there. It's all endemic. They have unique genetic assemblages which are particular to those areas. They might have their other sisters or brothers lying in European Asiatic belt, but their specificities are unique. Then we did a couple of ecological modeling, and we sort of tried to identify what's their current distribution and what's going to happen if this climate change is going to come in scene. Well, my study suggested that in the last 150 years, the temperature in the region had changed. It had increased by 1 degree in summer and 3.65 degrees in winters, meaning winters are much more warmer, getting much more warmer than summer. I looked at how the species have moved, and strangely, most of the species have shifted. The alpine species are moving upwards. Because of the warming, they find their habitat moving up. Looks easy, no? They can just move up. But this is not the case because the soil, the climate, microclimate for which they are particularly used to, they will not find at high altitudes. So 87% of the species that I studied showed northward shift. Let's talk about the contraction the species happen. 6 species, endemic species, have contracted by 50%. Their habitat have contracted by 50%. And there were certain, they're opportunistic type of species which increase their range by 200%. To put it simply, there is change. There is change in the patterns. Now, excuse me. Well, if you are more interested, you can definitely go and have a look at my work, and it will give you more insights as one example of why this biodiversity epicenter is important and what is happening. Let's bring it back as to why is this biodiversity important? I bring it back. We do not even know how unique is this world, what all exists, and we might in our ignorance end up leading to contraction of the existing gene pool on which we are dependent for our food needs, our cultural needs, our health. So we really need to rethink the way we have been thinking the climate change. Let's look at the elephant in the room again. Yes, the reasons could be varied. You could put it as carbon emissions from a number of factors. IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, might close their eyes, might turn blind. But my question is to all of us here. Are we or can we avoid this elephant in the room? Well, if you think we will deal with it, perhaps COVID has opened our eyes. The response, how we reacted with COVID, is very much indicating of how much prepared are we to face any climatic event or any change in this world. It's not far. We are not talking about even far-fetched. I'm talking about something coming in like 30 to 50 years. Well, for COVID, they just said, go and wash your hands and it will be sorted. You and me, we all have witnessed it. It had it. They might say, okay, COVID, the bigger elephant, the bigger enemy is recession. Well, look at it. I'm here to show you a bigger picture. It's all embraced in climate change, and all the more dangerous is this biodiversity collapse that's going to happen. And it's really important that we bring our elements together and think about it. Why? Because there is no planet B. You cannot have a plan B. It's this very planet we have to survive. We can't go anywhere else. Do you know of a place where you can go? Or, I mean, honestly, think about it. Well, as I share all this with you, what is it that I want to convey? And how is it that we can contribute? Simple actions. I will really encourage you to have and believe in the power of 2 A's. Actions at our individual ends. Simple actions. It's not going to be a big deal. We can just try to reduce our consumption of plastic, for example, a very simple phenomena. Instead of the plastic cups for our tea, we can just prefer to have the earthen cups. Simple change. Look for simple solutions around you. What is more important is perhaps awareness. I did not use the word activism. Activism indeed is needed. Mass transformation is needed. But even more than activism, I believe it's the awareness. If we all aware about it, we think about it, and we know that we can contribute to this change, perhaps is the only solution. And it has to be faster. There is some transformation that is needed, and this transformation has to come from our end. If we're going to tell or excuse ourselves saying, oh, okay, this transformation is not possible, then please rethink. Rethink how much have we transformed ourselves in 2020. With COVID, we have changed. We tried to change everything around us, and we did it successfully. So it's not something which is not doable. What is important is the intention and coming together. So of course, there is action which is needed, and this is needed quite soon. Thank you. And I really wish that we do not have to see this famous picture as it stands. I really hope that polar bears could still enjoy their very habitat and their very freedom. And we will really be able to avoid this shrinkage. With this, I give it back to Toastmaster of the Day. Thank you very much. Thank you all for listening.
Wow. So we all expect now, Yasmin, that you are going to teach a college class called The Elephant in the Room. And I don't know about anyone else here, but I certainly am going to sign up. That was fascinating and in depth. Thank you so much. All right, so let's move on to the fun part of RSS Phase 2. And we have a special table topics master today. The VPE had to go all the way to Bali to find this table topics master. IU, it is all yours.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I am Chinese Indonesian, and the theme of today's theme comes from China. But the thing is, it is not, at the first things, it's not about Chinese New Year. The other they call it Lunar New Year. And why? And also Spring Festival. Why? Because it's the beginning. It's almost the beginning of the spring time. Okay, so this is a table topic session, which is we are going to do impromptu speaking. Time will be 1 to 2 minutes. One will be green, like what Mary said, and 1:30 will be green, yellow, and then 2 will be red. And you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Why we are doing this in Toastmasters? Because we want to speak, we want to try to speak on our feet, like that. If something, a question coming up, and we can just answer that reasonably. Okay, so I would like to share screens and let's enjoy something here. Well, everybody, that is very Chinese, I know. And that is actually very old song. Every Chinese all over the world will sort of knows what this song. Okay, so yes, we are going toward the ox year. In that music, we have Gong Si Gong Si Gong Si Ni Ya. And what does the Gong Si actually means? Gong Si means congratulations. So everybody, when they meet in the street on the Chinese New Year day, they will do like this and say Gong Si, means Happy New Year to you. Congratulations for the New Year time. Now, let's move on to the topic of our table topic session. Anyone would like to try? Well, I cannot really see people here.
I'd like one, Ayu.
Okay, so which one you like the most, Michelle? Or probably perhaps your Chinese zodiac?
I don't know. You just choose one for me.
Okay, may this is probably a little bit weird, but if you can give me your birth year, then I will know which character you are.
1954.
54, it means 56 is monkey, and then 54 is like two before that. Monkey, just a moment, monkey, and then go back a little bit. Well, I need to see this a little bit. Bear with me, people, just a little bit. Oh my God.
Okay, make
it with me on 1954. It's sorry?
I'm year of the horse.
Horse, yes. Okay, so Michelle, I will stop sharing and then I will say the horse and the word. I will just give you one word and you may talk about that word. Agile. Horse is agile. Oh, Federico, how do you know it? You got it correct.
Sorry, horse
Agile.
is what?
Agile. I put it in the chat, Michelle.
Oh, I didn't really remember my sign. It's not zodiac, my lunar sign, but that is incredible because yes, I apparently the Chinese knew better or knew more than I did because I am very agile in everything, well, except heights. Climbing heights, I'm not so agile. I patiently try to climb, but I get so scared that then I stiffen. But with everything else, I am agile. With cooking, you suddenly tell me to cook something, I open the fridge, whatever is there, I will be agile enough to concoct something. And according to my beloved, it always comes out well. With speaking, you can suddenly throw a topic to me and I will be agile enough to catch it and speak about it. And with life, life has thrown me curveballs so many times, but like a true horse, I have been agile enough to respond, change course, and still come out on top. And that comes partly also from having the patience to figure out what is happening here. What is life's message to me? What can I learn from this? And I have found that when I approach any situation that way, it is so much easier to be patient and agile at the same time than when I resent or question what's happening in a negative way and go, why me? Why me? Then it's very hard to be patient and even more difficult to be agile. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, whoever viewer that know Michelle, she is very agile. Yes, ma'am, you are. How they know? The question is how that those people knows that almost every person under the Chinese zodiac of horse is actually pretty agile. So next, I would like to call upon our guest, Said. Would you like to try? Yes. Okay. So do you know your Chinese zodiac as Said?
No.
May I know? If not, if your birth year. If not, then you may choose one.
Okay, 1979.
Oh, a goat. Okay, so goat is actually cooperative. I will stop sharing and you may talk about goat and being cooperative. Is that really you?
Okay. So, fellow Toastmasters and wonderful guests, you need to be patient, and I will test your patience with my speech because I will be saying words which I'm not well prepared of because I don't know my zodiac sign, and I will try to increase your patience, and I won't be switching or muting my mic until you all clap for me. So goat is a wonderful animal, sheep is a wonderful animal, and they are very cooperative. But I was thinking that why only cooperative is associated with those of human beings who have born in this year. As a human being, we have all qualities. We are agile, we have hidden talents, we are cooperative, we are humble, we are kind hearted. So, why only one quality we associate with a person? a cooperative person can be agile, and a agile person can be a cooperative, and a cooperative person can be a kind-hearted. These are the qualities missing from us. And I think that's why Chinese have developed these signs, and so that if you can have only one quality in yourself, please have that instead of having no quality at all. So it's a wonderful thing that we should be cooperative with each other. And in Toastmaster, we all have experienced that everyone is cooperative. Everyone is helping each other. We don't know each other, but when we are Toastmasters, we want to help uh, other to succeed. We wish that our mentee is successful in his endeavor, and we want people to become their best self. And I must appreciate your patience. And now it's time to go back. So over to Toastmaster, Table Topic Master.
Thank you. Wow, Saeed, you covered the word of the day 3 times. Yay! Look, Mary is very happy, and our grammarian Angela was like, "Yay!" Thank you, Said. Yes, I agree, and I believe that everybody agree. As a Toastmaster, everyone seems like very cooperative, very nice, very encouraging to each other. So, Said, thank you for being here. Thank you for having this topic. Fellow Toastmaster, let's move on. And now let's hear from Samantha. Hi, Samantha. Would you like to try?
Okay.
Okay, so do you know your Chinese zodiac or?
Yes, I have Year of the Pig.
Okay, Year of the Pig. Okay, the word that associates with pig is social.
Social?
Yes. What do you think? Is that right or not? Or probably you want to say something about social. Time is yours.
Well, I'll start out by saying I'm not a very social person, and I never had been. So the pandemic was not very much anything new for me. But everybody knows what that's like now, to be stuck at home and do whatever it is you want to do with your own thoughts and be very patient and and well, we've all been really patient to wait for the pandemic to be over so we can get back to being social in our lives. It's I guess it's only a few months away or so. Well, that's all I've got. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Thanks to you, Samantha, for sharing this. Well, I am a homey person too, not really go out so much. And yeah, sometimes being alone doesn't mean that we feel alone. As long as we are content with ourselves and looking at your smile, it's enough for us. Fellow Toastmasters, let's move on again to the next person, to the next guest that we have around us. Keshav, would you like to try?
Yeah, sure, by all means.
Okay, so would you like to just choose, or you know your Chinese zodiac, or?
No, I don't know. I'll give you my birth year, 1993.
1993, sure. Let's see, what is your, I probably ask Federico, do you know 1993? Okay. Yes? Really? No, okay. Rooster. Rooster, okay, the word that associates with roosters is independent. Keshav, would you like to show your beautiful face?
Just give me 1 second.
Okay, So rooster is independent. There you go. There we go. Keshav. Oh, I still remember you were wearing red the other day, and now you're wearing black. Okay.
Okay, you're very observant.
Go ahead. Time's yours,
Okay.
Keshav.
Independent. I think it is important to be independent in life. It gives you, it's one of the virtues I think that makes you very successful in your life. And one of the things that we all love is to be independent in our life, and not like to be told at every stage of our life as to what we are supposed to do. And this quality, this is one of the top leadership qualities that one needs to possess when it comes to grow, when it comes to grow as an individual, and also in your professional life, that one needs to be independent, one needs to be patient. And these two qualities, these two traits, I think go hand in hand. If you are patient and if you are independent in your life, this in some form will pay you off at some stage of your life. And I think it is important to be independent. I'm sorry, that's all.
No, it's okay, Keshav. You did well. You want to continue a little bit?
I'm sorry.
You did well. Do you want to continue a little bit?
No, thank you.
Okay, so Keshav, well done. From your answer, I sense that you are very independent. Like what you said to us, share with us the other last week, yeah? That you do your website by looking at website, You do your website looking at learning from internet by yourself. So independent. Thank you, Keshav. Okay, fellow Toastmasters, let's move. We still have time for, I think, for one more. Yes. So I would like to call upon our guest, Desi. Hi, Desi. Desi was earlier saying that she has a low bandwidth. So probably Desi is, okay. So the last question will be to Federico. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Which Chinese zodiac would you like to take? Or
I'm a horse like Michelle.
Would you like to talk about that agile words again?
Well, I can speak about it.
Okay, go ahead. Time is yours, Federico.
In my case, I'm an overdoer, so being agile is something that it has to be in my daily activities. I need to speak more, but at the same time, I need to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional things. I can be maybe working on maybe 8 or 10 hours more every day. And I need to be agile in plan, execute, and think in all the execution plan in order to do what I do. Also, my work as a software architect is that I have agile teams, and they have to be agile in order to deliver the proper things to my clients. So being agile is just in my nature. If I have to don't sleep and try to drink more coffee, like this is the 3rd cup in the day, or even I need to drink 2 more or 3 more that they are inefficient for me, well, I will just drink more. They just are like not a drug, but like my sweet, because this doesn't work at all. I can drink 10 and it's like drinking nothing. So yeah, being agile is just in my nature. I cannot be less agile. It will never work. And the most agile person that I know in my life is my dad. He never sleeps. He wakes up at 4 a.m. He starts cleaning, refixing the things that he shouldn't fix. And then he's complaining why this is broken, because you broke it. And as simple as that. So even though my father is not a horse, I inherited that attitude of being extremely agile in my life. I started to fix everything where I'm living. Although I should have called the landlord, it was Right. It will take me more than just go to the shop, buy something that is like €1, like $2. I'm just doing it on my own. Being agile is something that I will never stop doing it. It's my nature.
Thank you, Federico. Thank you. You were saying that my father is not a horse. See, that is always a joke over there. You know, I know your father is not a horse for sure. Right? Because sometimes he said, okay, yeah, I know. We have to say that my father or my sister is not under the sign, under the Chinese zodiac sign of a horse. You know, that's always, we always joke around about that. And people, let's have more people, more persons, more people under the sign of horse in Toastmaster. So we become more agile. Okay, so we are coming to the end of the table topic session, and I would like to share these sweets for you. In Chinese tradition, in the New Year day, we always put these sweets, many kind of sweets, because the orange means if we give an orange to someone, to your guest, to your sister, your mother, it's like you are giving prosperity to them. You hope all the good stuff for them because it's yellow like gold. And then the sweet, we hope that you have a sweet in everything you do, and the result is also will be sweet for you and your family. So I don't think any Chinese here, only me, huh? So I should not say Happy Chinese New Year. Okay, so that is the end of our session. Thank you, everybody. And I would like to hand over back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, IU, and thank you for involving our guest. I do have one question. Well, actually two. What zodiac sign are you?
Anyone would like to try to guess?
Hey, this is Mary. I'm a pig, and I was worried what that was. I think I knew what it meant. I like to eat.
No, actually, pig is social, Mary.
Oh,
and pig very
loves to a T. Yep, that's me.
So IU, what are you?
I'm a snake.
And what's the word?
The snake is determined.
Is what?
Determined. Am
determined.
I?
Determined.
Yeah, determined. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's fitting. All right, moving on to phase 3, our evaluations, and thank you everybody for participating in table topics, especially our guests. That was a lot of fun. Ram is going to evaluate Yasmin's speech. I am looking forward to this evaluation because that was a fascinating speech with a lot of stuff going on. So Ram, what do you have for us?
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. It's my pleasure to evaluate Yasmin's speech on preparing to speak professionally. So that was the elephant in the room. A very heartfelt, informative, inspiring speech from Yasmin. So what did I like about it? I think one thing that definitely came across was, I think, Yasmin's passion for the subject. It's something that's very important to her. You could tell from the way she described it. And she even told us what she did, the study work she did in the Himalayas. And she went into some detail about that. So that made her, she was both an expert and also very passionate about it. And so that, I think, was very effective. The other thing I liked is she presents a lot of information. In a 20-minute presentation, you have time to present information. So you don't have to just gloss over the surface. You can actually try and get into some of the issues. And she talked in a lot of detail about diversity and some of the consequences. What happens if you just increase the temperature by 1 degree? What can happen? What are the things that can happen? And I think that was very informative. We all know maybe a little bit about climate change, but it's actually good to have an expert tell us these are some of the impacts of climate change, some very serious impacts. And I thought that was really well done. Now, in terms of my recommendation, one thing, you know, it's always a tricky thing, I think, with presentations to get the mix of text and pictures right. For me, I'm very much like pictures. I don't want to say a lot of words. And I think, on some of the slides, they were just slightly too busy. And even the symbol on biodiversity that was so busy, I was actually trying to look at all the things, and I think it'll distract from his speech. So you want something that you can just glance at, and the more visual it is, you can just glance at it and pick up what you want to pick, and then she'll of course explain in her speech as to what comes. The other thing is, while it's important, another recommendation is that while it's important to give details, I thought in some places she went into too much detail, perhaps when she talked about what she did herself. I think some of that went over her head. She has to remember that we're just laymen. Some of us aren't even scientists. We may not know anything about this. So I think you have to simplify it and maybe just not make it, and just reduce the detail, because it was difficult for everyone to take in. But at the end of the day, it was a really fantastic speech. So much information, so much passion. I loved some things. I love the slide showing the effect of COVID, telling us how we're going to handle these things. It's actually not a very encouraging thing. We have this little COVID wave, and we have other waves that we have to face. And judging by how we struggled with the small wave, it really brought us to thinking we need to, really need to do something. And at the end, I like her, call for action about we really need to examine it and really try and take all this on board. And that's something I really enjoyed. So I think Yasmin gave a great, really interesting, insightful, engaging presentation. My only recommendation would be for her to just maybe simplify the slides a little bit. Less is more when it comes to slides. I think that's the one advice I'd give to everyone who's giving presentations. Less is more. But I really enjoyed it. I think everyone here really enjoyed the presentation. They learned a lot, and they got to experience what a passionate person, what an important and passionate subject this is for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram, for that engaging and insightful evaluation for an engaging and insightful speech. At this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our general evaluator, who's going to call upon the rest of our role players and then give us an evaluation of our overall meeting. So Amy, the meeting is all yours. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tiger. This has been a great meeting today, and I love our theme of the Chinese New Year and getting to understand the Chinese New Year more, because I didn't actually know that much about it. So I really appreciate the breakdown that Iowa shared and Tiger shared, and let us know everything about it. I'm going to be your general evaluator today, as Tiger has already said. And to start, I will introduce our call upon our role takers to get their reports. And I will begin with our grammarian. We have our grammarian, which is Angela.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Firstly, I would like to point out one thing in general as a rule. Often one thing we do say which doesn't really fit with Toastmasters is without further ado. I think this is not really a Toastmaster expression. I was called out on it a few weeks ago when I was Toastmaster in one of my clubs. I think another good way you could say would be, instead of saying without further ado, let us begin, you could just say, let us begin by listening to our first speaker. Let us carry on by listening to our general evaluator. Or simply, our speaker this is our introduction. Or without further hesitation. Let's try and avoid using without further ado. As I said, I didn't really notice that until I personally was called out on it. That is my initial thing. The word of the day, I was actually quite disappointed because we only had a couple of people who used it. The idea of the word of the day is to enhance our way of speaking. You might say it doesn't fit with my topic. Make it fit, because we can all use a different word somehow. I'm not going to pick out every single person. I'm just going to pick out certain things which people said. Gonna. Gonna doesn't go. I'm going to. Another word I picked out was we like not to talk about it. Rather rephrase this by we don't like to talk about this. Just an inflection on the English language. A powerful statement I found used by our speaker of the day was biodiversity is important to sustain livelihoods. I think it's an incredibly powerful one. Another interesting expression used was species have contracted, because I think of it as it's something large, contracted. Instead of just saying it went small, I think it's a very powerful word to say it contracted. Other words, we're going to impromptu speak. We know you said that. We're going to impromptu speaking. We're going to turn over to our impromptu speaking section. These are just funny little grammatical things. I hate nitpicking. It's not my thing. I'm going to hand over back to, rather say, I'm going to give the floor back to the Toastmaster. I'm going to give the floor back to our general evaluator. Again, because I was given the option of grammarian, I would like to say in Toastmasters, don't forget, if you are given the role, for example, that I was called upon, I would say, thank you, Madam General Evaluator. It's just a thing that we do. It's a politeness, right? Just a little point of order. I hope I'm okay saying that because I did. Another interesting expression used was, I must appreciate your visions. I thought this was actually quite nice. I like to pick out interesting words that we used. I guess this is not a word I use because obviously not from the States. Instead of saying, I guess, you could say, I would think, or I could suppose, or maybe I could say, maybe I could state, as just other ways of using things. The final thing I'm going to bring up is these traits go hand in hand. I like that expression because hand in hand means that they're linked in some way. With this, I'm actually going to close off my evaluation, my report. I will say that the word of the day was used by Samantha. Zaid, you loved the word. You just kept on using it. I think that was the only person, and obviously myself. I do believe they were the only ones who used the word of the day. Ah, Michelle, I thought I marked you in a different color. Again, please, when someone has gone to use the word of the, given you a word of the day, think of it straight away. I always think that when I'm going to use the word of the day, I try and bring it into my first sentence, because otherwise I do tend to forget. Just a little bit of advice. With this, I pass the floor back to our general evaluator.
Thank you very much for that, Angela. That was beautiful and really thorough. Lots of tips there for everyone. Our next role taker is our counter, Kunang. Would you like to, have we lost Kunang? Oh, yeah, we have. Okay, I'm going to gallery view. Yeah, can't see her. Okay. I will move on. Well, to be honest, I think our grammarian report was so good and thorough there that that definitely sufficed. Mary, can I call you as our timer for the timekeeper report, please?
Certainly. Thank you, General Evaluator. We did pretty well on time today. Our speaker had a very long speech, 18 to 20 minutes, and she was within that 30-second range. You did 17 minutes and 49 seconds. And maybe just the little bit of delay that I might have started might have made the difference. So well done, within the range. Table topics. Again, that's a 1 to 2 minute response. Michelle, you did 1 minute 57 seconds. Zaid did 2 minutes, 15 seconds, which again, you have that 30-second grace period, so you're fine. Samantha, you were 55 seconds, so just a little shy of the 1 minute, but within the 30-second range. Well done. Kishaf, sorry if I mispronounced that, 1 minute, 10 seconds, and Frederico, 1 minute, 50 seconds. So great job on the table topics response. And then our evaluator, Ram, if I'm saying that right, little bit over time today. I think he had a lot to say, but it was a long speech. So there was a lot of evaluation points he wanted to make. Typically it's 2 to 3 minutes, but you came in at 4 minutes. So a little bit over time. That concludes my time report. Back to you, General Evaluator. And I was patient. I waited my turn.
Thank you very much, Mary. That was very thorough as well. I think our whole meeting today has been pretty efficient, especially given all the shifts that have happened with our president and our VPE both stepping in to take on different roles last minute, and with our I'll start with Ayu taking on the Sergeant at Arms role, which she jumps into very naturally, and that was done fantastically well. And then Ayu continued with the table topics role, table topics master, which was I really enjoyed, and I think everyone got a good kick out of knowing their Chinese New Year birth year, and trying to seeing people having to speak on it. I think you brought a lot of energy with this, and it was fun. Everyone was a bit excited. Recommendation was that possibly to be a little bit more assertive with your questions. I know you were leaving it up to everyone, but we lost a bit of time with that. And then again, we lost a bit of time when you were first asking Michelle, whereas if you just go for it, and you just be a little bit more assertive there, and we catch up at that time. And otherwise, I think that once we got into the flow of it then, and people got with it, then it was going great. And I think everyone had a bit of a kick out of all the different years and our different takes on it. Our next person is Tiger, our president and our Toastmaster of the day. When I was making my notes, and I was like, okay, yes, Tiger's doing his bright energy, brilliant. Oh, he's going a little slow now. These pauses are a bit drawn out. And then I realized that behind the scenes, they're reshuffling and becoming Toastmaster of the day. So what was going to be a bit of a recommendation of trying to keep the pace up, kind of turns into a commendation, like a congratulations for doing all that while only having a couple of little, like barely letting anyone know what was going on. So I think that was amazing, and being able to pull it out with getting the theme of the day in there and the slides. Again, I think thanks to Ayu, super VP, who always has all this stuff up her sleeve. So Tiger, that was my main recommendation, but it turned into a commendation. And as the meeting went through, you kept great flow, great energy, bringing everyone in it. My other recommendation is just to bring in the order of the meeting, because again, to be fair, it was all fairly last minute for you, but it's nice for people to get the order of the meeting in the beginning. Our Kunang did great, nice bright intro. Shame we lost you there for the end, but you were really clear breakdown. Our evaluator Ram did a great job with your positive commendations, and your recommendations were really good as well. our recommendation I would have for you, with your first recommendation was great, and you followed that up with an example. With your second recommendation, again, it would be nice for you to come in with an example for that, because I think it just gives that bit of extra weight to the point that you're putting across. It was, you had said to simplify the language and possibly to give a clearer breakdown to how Yasmin could have done that. I'm saying this now and I'm struggling to think of an example of it, but I know when Angela gave her grammarian report, she was a very good example of then displaying how to like give the how-tos on that. So that was just, and to be fair with you, Ram, you did with the first one, it was only just with the second one to give it an extra bit of oomph. Otherwise, it was a great evaluation, and it's quite understandable that you went over time. And I think I'm probably going over time now too. But our other Mary, timekeeper, great, really smiley, cheerful, brought a great energy. My only recommendation for you would be sometimes with the cards, it can be hard to tell the colors of the yellow and the green. So maybe just do a big G or a big Y to just help us out there. And Angela, great as well. As I said when I was just talking about Ram there, I loved how you gave the recommendations and then you gave examples. So really letting us all know how we can pick up on this. I would say there's no need to apologize about the information you're giving us. It's really constructive and it's really valuable. And that's everyone. I think I've got all our role takers in there. So I will now finish up and I will give the stage to our president and Toastmaster of the day, Tiger.
Thank you, Amy, for that very astute and detailed general evaluation. Kanang is back, so we would like to hear her counter report before we end the meeting. So Kanang, the virtual podium is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. President Tiger, and welcome our guest and dear fellow Toastmaster again. I'm giving my Ask Counter report. First is you. I report you 3 times and second person is Ram. 1 asked, 1 and 3 3 repeat and repeat what the word I, and the third person is Said, correct? I pronounce your name correct. Yes, Said, you have 5 Yes, I've noticed all these people at the other. No, thank you. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you for Kanang, and thank you for your patience. I think patience was a great word of the day because we did have kind of a not our normal flow because of Toastmaster Day. And Amy, you were absolutely correct. The flow was a little off. I was a little off as a Toastmaster, and that's okay to say that. The same with Angela. When we have evaluations, be honest. That's what Toastmasters is all about. So I appreciate those detailed and very observant pieces of feedback. This was a fun meeting. Thank you, Yasmin, for that very detailed and interesting speech. Thank you, IU, for those great and interesting table topic prompts. I do have one question for you. Who is a pig? The year of the pig. There's 2 of them. Mary and Samantha. Who are horses? Who are horses?
And Michelle.
Michelle and Federico.
We have one horse.
And last question, our VPE is what year? What sign? The sign of the, she's a snake in the grass. I'm afraid of snakes, and that's a good thing. With that said, I am going to go ahead and close this meeting. Thank you all our guests and all our members for another fantastic meeting of RSS. Please stick around afterward. I would love to get some feedback from our guests and our members. So with that said, on 3, I'm going to officially end this meeting. 1, 2, and 3.